Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1990 and today's date is October 8th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Economic Message Received Sets the Gold Standard. Now, before we get started, I want to talk about Trump's Freedom Coin. When Noble Gold released this solid silver Trump 2020 Freedom Coin, they had no idea how successful President Trump would be or how much interest there would be in their coins. They are now releasing this stunning brand new Commander-in-Chief design to the world. Be the envy of your friends or buy them as well, and treat yourself to one of these fabulous souvenirs today. Go to TrumpCoin2020.com and use the code X22 Report to save $5 off per coin. This is a limited time offer, so make sure to get yours today. So go to TrumpCoin2020.com, use the code X22 Report to receive the $5 off per coin. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, Trump and the Patriots, they are changing the economic landscape, and they still need the do-nothing Congress to vote on the USMCA, which they have not done. Meanwhile, Trump and the Patriots, they're making trade deals around the globe to prepare for the economic transition. While the Trump administration was tweeting about the trade deals with Japan, something very interesting was in the message. We'll be talking about that a little bit later in this report. But first, the EU is getting frustrated with Boris Johnson. Donald Tusk, the president of the European Council, tweeted out the following. At Boris Johnson, what's at stake is not winning some stupid blame game. At stake is the future of Europe and the UK, as well as the security and interests of the people. You don't want a deal, you don't want an extension, you don't want to revoke. Quo vadis? Meaning, where are you going? Well, I think Boris Johnson knows exactly where he's going. Merkel reportedly insisted that the EU 27 would never agree to a Brexit deal that didn't include a backstop arrangement that would keep Northern Ireland in the custom union. Basically, what they are saying is, listen, you do it our way or there is no way. Johnson told German Chancellor Angela Merkel that a Brexit deal is essentially impossible if the EU demands Northern Ireland should stay in the bloc's custom union. Now, think about what is happening here. Think about what the EU has set up. Boris Johnson is dealing with the EU. The EU will only agree to a deal that benefits them. Then he goes back to the UK, and those individuals, the elite, the establishment, they don't want a no-deal Brexit. Now, what does Boris Johnson want? He wants a no-deal Brexit, or a deal that is in the best interest of the people. So he's fighting the EU on one side. He turns around and he's fighting the elite on the other side. But I believe the EU made a tactical error in their strategy. The elite, the establishment, made a tactical error in their strategy. What appears to be a chaotic strategy might not be chaotic at all. It might be that this is what Boris Johnson planned. Now, everyone thinks that he's a fool. He doesn't know what he's doing. And it seems that the EU might have seriously misjudged what he is doing right now. Think about this for a sec. It was the UK who, for the longest time, misjudged the EU. Now, the EU is misjudging the UK. The final irony is that by attempting to take a no deal off the table, Remainers, the elite, the establishment, just may have sealed their fate. This is most likely how this might play out. The EU does not agree to a deal. Well, that's a given. Johnson is dragged kicking and screaming into an extension. He wins the ensuing elections. A no-deal Brexit follows. And I do believe that the EU, the elite, they didn't see this coming. We'll have to see how it plays out, but it seems like this is what Boris Johnson is trying to push right now. Now, here in the U.S., Trump signed trade deals with Japan, South Korea, Mexico, and Canada. The problem is that Congress needs to pass the USMCA. The Team Trump tweeted out the following. President at Real Donald Trump is negotiating real trade deals for the American people. He's made fairer trade deals with Japan, South Korea, Mexico, and Canada. Remember, Mexico and Canada, it's the USMCA. No more taking advantage of the United States. Congress must also pass the USMCA. And Congress, the do-nothing Congress, has not. So once again, Congress is doing absolutely nothing. The reason Trump needs this completed is because the trade deals are needed for the transition once we leave the central bank system. Just like the UK is leaving the EU system, well, the United States is going to be leaving the Federal Reserve System. We will no longer be dependent on the petrodollar, the Federal Reserve note, and countries around the world will no longer need to keep the Fed note in their reserves, which means they will not buy goods by trading in their Fed notes. We will need equal trade. This is why Trump is doing this. Plus, trade has been lopsided for a very long time, and there's a reason for that, because the deep state, the elite, the establishment, the central bankers, they had a completely different plan. They were moving everything out of the United States because when everything started to go south and crash and implode, the United States was no longer going to be the reserve currency, and the United States was going to be brought down to a third world nation. Everything has changed. Trump put the kibosh on all of that, got rid of the globalist deals, he even mentioned that the globalists have no future. So when Trump was signing the trade deal with Japan, Team Trump tweeted out something very interesting. It said, watch President @ Donald Trump discuss signing too early outcomes from trade negotiations with Japan. Number 1, will allow better access for approximately 90% of U.S. agricultural exports to Japan. Trump is helping the farmers. Now, number 2 is very interesting. Now, this has to do with digital trade, but they said something that's very, very interesting, and I believe this is a message to all the people that are paying attention. Sets gold standard rules for digital trade, and gold standard is in quotes. Now, let's go back to post 2619. Remember, this is December 12, 2018. And Anon asked, do we have the gold? And Q answered, yes, we do. Now, a lot of people don't think that there is gold in Fort Knox. It doesn't mean that's where the gold is located. Remember, what we all believe is that the Fed, the deep state, they've been moving gold offshore. There are those individuals out there that believe the Trump administration got this gold back. And this is why Q is saying, yes, we do have the gold. And I don't believe they placed it in Fort Knox. And under this, it says, gold shall destroy the Fed. So with this tweet, I do believe the Patriots are saying we're going back to some type of sound money gold standard. And in the end, it will destroy the Fed. And everything is on track. Yesterday, we talked about how Jerome Powell was out there saying that the Fed is completely independent. They don't take orders from the White House. They don't do what the White House wants or what Trump wants. This was being said on purpose. He was projecting out, letting everyone know their next decision wasn't based on Trump. And guess what? They just made a decision. And they're right on schedule. Fed Chair Powell made a surprise announcement today that the Fed was resuming permanent open market operations after a 5-year hiatus. What does that mean? It means that they're adding reserves to the system on a permanent basis via permanent open market operations. For example, bond purchases. This is quantitative easing. The U.S. has facing an avalanche of debt issuance, with China and Japan barely able to keep up. Someone needs to buy all this debt. The someone is the Fed. Here we are. Remember 2010, 2011? We're right back to that point where the Fed has now started stimulus once again. And the debt is going to be astronomical. So think about what is happening here. Trump and the Patriots are forcing the Fed to do everything they did back during the Obama administration. But Trump needs this to go a step further. He needs the Federal Reserve to drive itself into the ground and off the cliff. And this is exactly what is happening. He needs the central bank system to destroy itself, while at the same time reversing everything that was done to this country. The plan is right on schedule. The plan is working exactly the way we thought. Now think about this. Once Trump is elected in 2020, what comes next? Well, if Trump is driving the Fed off the cliff, and the mainstream media, the deep state, they're talking about a recession, we know that this drug that's been injected into the system will not last forever. Trump and the Patriots, they know this. It will not last forever. But they're not expecting it to last forever. They want the system to come down when they are ready. And I'm talking about the Patriots, when they're ready. This way they can control what is happening. They don't want the deep state to push us into a recession because they don't have control then. Once Trump is in the White House for his second term, he has complete and utter control to transition us. And this will allow him the leeway to say, okay, listen, we're in a recession, headed towards a depression. It's because of the Fed. And of course, at that time, he'll start really pointing the finger at the Fed, letting everyone know this is what is happening. And then all of a sudden, you'll hear other individuals within Congress start to say, yeah, we need to get to the bottom of this. Why did the Fed crash the system? It was doing so well. We need an audit. And we just so happen to have an audit bill just hanging out in the House. And guess what? This will be the beginning of getting rid of the Fed and transitioning into a new system and introducing a sound money system. Everything is right on schedule. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.